This isn't me telling you how to practice. This is me giving you suggestions, and a start point. Where you take it is completely up to you.
Before Time Was. This is an excerpt from the book Wicca by Scott Cunningham. Before time was, there was the One, and the One was all, and all was the One. And the vast expanse known as the universe was the One, all-wise, all-pervading, all-powerful, eternally changing. And space moved. The One molded energies into twin forms, equal but opposite, fashioned the goddess and the god, from the One and of the One. The goddess and the god stretched and gave thanks to the One, but darkness surrounded them. They were alone, solitary, save the One. So they formed energies into gases, and gases into suns, and planets, and moons. They sprinkled the universe with the whirling globes, and so all was given shape by the hands of the god and goddess. Light arose, and the sky was illuminated by 1 billion suns. And the goddess and god, satisfied by their works, rejoiced and loved, and were one. From their union sprang seeds of life, and of the human race, so that we might achieve incarnation upon the earth. The goddess chose the moon as her symbol, and the god chose the sun as his symbol, to remind the inhabitants of earth of their fashioners. All are born, live, die, and are reborn beneath the sun and moon. All things come to pass thereunder, and all occurs with the blessing of the One, as has been the way of existence before time was. Okay, so here we are going to cover the Wheel of the Year. The Wheel of the Year is the pagan calendar. It also goes into the mythology and practices of the Wiccan religion based on the holidays and the theology behind those holidays. So first, you'll notice up at the top is Yule. Yule is the new year of the pagan holiday. This is a celebration of the renewal of life, because in the Wiccan traditions, at this time is when the goddess gives birth to the god. The earth slumbers as the goddess recovers from giving birth. During this time, it is the longest night of the year, the period in which the daylight is the shortest. So, to help the earth bring about the light, it is very traditional for us to light candles. If you have a fireplace, lighting a Yule log is also a very big tradition. Without a fireplace, it's not a big deal. Just put candles everywhere, within fire hazards, of course. We also decorate trees, hang wreaths, and even going caroling is part of the pagan traditions. You will find that the three main colors of the pagan traditions is red, green, and white. Many of the Christian traditions were taken from the pagan traditions. So it's actually relatively easy for most pagans to practice their belief without standing out too much when it comes to Yule. Next, we will cover Imbolc. Imbolc is right next to Yule, going from left to right. Imbolc is a time in which we celebrate the god's growing strength. He is adolescent at this time, growing in power and strength. As the days grow longer, the warmth starts to warm the earth from its wintry slumber. The goddess as well is recovering from giving birth, and steps into her maiden role. At this point, we are in a time of new beginnings, so initiations are very common during this time, whether self or initiation into a coven. Most of the colors for in bulk are very warm colors: white, yellow, orange, red. Decorating with springtime things such as flowers and things along those lines. Okay, next we cover Ostara. Ostara is one of what I call the events. The 4 events are the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the winter equinox. This one is the spring equinox. The spring equinox is the time when the god is starting to grow into manhood. The sun is shining, the earth is coming back to life. The goddess steps into her full maidenhood and fertility abounds. During this time, for this festival, fresh flowers, plants, anything that represents fertility, this was, a lot of the aspects of this were actually taken over by the Christians in the form of Easter. Along with Ostara, most of the symbols are that of fertility. Eggs, rabbits, hence the Easter bunny and the Easter egg. And once again, just like with Yule, it's very easy to celebrate and blend in without actually sticking out. But this is also a good time for spring cleaning in multiple forms. Not only your house, but yourself. So cleansing is a really good thing during this time. Airing everything out, and just doing a good cleansing of everything in your surroundings for the coming year, as well as planting seeds, both figuratively and literally. Starting your spell work, like if you have a year-long spell plan for fertility or prosperity, this is a great time to start those things. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and cover Beltane. Beltane is the ultimate fertility ritual. Everything else has basically been building up to this. Is one of the biggest rituals of the Wiccan holidays. This is where we celebrate the goddess come into full manhood. The goddess is completely fertile, and this is what you would call a sensual holiday. Many pagans practice it through physical love, sexual acts, things along those lines. The god and goddess during this time do couple, and this is what allows the god to be reborn come Yule. This time is celebrated through maypoles, which is a phallic symbol, and fires. Fires are a big thing during this period of time. Fires, greenery, of course, marriage celebrations are very big during this time. It's a very big deal to most pagans because this demonstrates the god and goddess in full love, physical pleasure, as well as just one of those rituals that is about merriment, joy, and love. Alright, and now we cover Litha, or the summer solstice. This is the longest day of the year. Yet another one of the events. This is midsummer, the days are warm and hot, the nights are short. It's celebrating the strength of masculinity, as well as the abundance that is going to come forth from the plantings and work from the spring. During this time, it's fires are big, bright colors, herbs. It's basically pretty much anything that you can think of for a summer celebration. Symbols of the sun. It's to celebrate, the outdoors, the picnics, things along those lines, and time to have a really, really relaxing good time. Okay, so next on the Wheel of the Year is Lammas. Lammas is the first part of the harvest. This is when we start harvesting, bread making. Lammas bread is a very good example of that. The sun is still strong, however he's getting older. At this time the goddess is starting to show or progress into her mother aspect. During this time it's big about the feast. It's very big about the sharing of celebrations before the really hard work sets in for the harvest. And remember, all pagan traditions are nature-based. And this is where the god starts to show his age. Next, we have Mabon, or the autumn equinox. This is when the day and the night are equal in the fall. This is about reflection and harvest. This is generally for the country folk a very, very busy time, harvesting and getting everything ready for the winter. The god is at this point showing his age. He's getting older. He's heading towards Samhain. During this time, it's very big into fruits and the harvest and cultivating, reaping the rewards of the work that was done during the spring. This is very big in acorns and the seed that's sprouted before to harvest for the next spring. Mabon rituals are very big on fruits, nuts, colored leaves, pretty much everything that shows the fall. The third and last of the harvest rituals is Samhain. Samhain can be a very somber time because this is when the god ends his life and passes on into the spirit realm, only be born again at Yule. Because of this, the nights grow shorter, it starts to get colder. This is also the time that's good. It's easier to communicate with the dead. So, some practices were seances, things along those lines. Communicating with the spirits that have gone before. Also, lighting a candle in the window so loved ones that have passed can find their way home. This is the most visible probably of all the holidays because many of the traditions are still the same. The jack-o'-lanterns with the candles in them, bobbing for apples, those are all part of the tradition of Samhain. Also, when you're practicing, this is the feast. This is the final feast. So you would decorate your altar with apples and nuts and jack-o'-lanterns and all of those things. This is the end of the Wiccan year. It can be a time of remembrance of loved ones that have passed before, and the sacrifice the god has made to continue the abundance and the preservation of life on Earth. Okay, so the last thing we're going to go ahead and cover in Theology Part 1 is the Pentacle. The reason why we're going to cover the Pentacle is because a lot of pagans wear it. only knowing that it means protection. And I believe it's important for people to know what it means and why they're wearing it. So as you can see with the symbol that I use for my own channel, the Pentacle has 5 points. It means symbolizes balance. 5 points are all equally distanced apart. 5 straight edges on the Pentacle are all the same length. Each point represents something differently. So the top point represents the spirit, and the 4 lower points represent the elements. So pretty much what this means is you have the spirit over the elements, dominant over the elements. However, they are all equal, and they are all balanced. The 4 elements are earth, air, fire, and water. So in this situation, you have spirit, earth, air, fire, and water all balanced with each other. However, spirit dominates over them. Now, earth, air, fire, and water are the 4 elements. They correspond with the 4 points of the circle when you're casting a circle and calling the watchtowers. Earth is always to the north. I generally remember that because north is always the same on every map. So earth is to the north. East is air. Generally, I remember what direction that is off the top of my head because air is yellow, just like the sun, and the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So rising in the east is yellow. South is fire. Here in the northern hemisphere, the further south you go, the warmer it gets. So that's generally how I remembered that. And west is water. Other than them both starting with a W, here in the United States, the world's largest ocean is to our west. And that is blue, of course. So you've got green to the north, which is earth, air to the east, which is yellow, fire to the south, which is red, and west, or water to the west, which is blue. So again, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that it's amazing. I am always amazed at how many people wear symbols and carry them around without actually knowing their meaning. So with that, we conclude Theology Part 1. I will be bringing out Theology Part 2, going over different things such as the charge of the gods, charge of the god, and so on and so forth. All right, everybody, you stay healthy and safe, and I will talk to you all soon. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget, if you like the video, like and subscribe. Also, you can donate to my Patreon. All Patreon donations will go towards delivering you new and more interesting content. One last thing, if you had any questions about the content of this video, do not forget to ask those questions in the comments. I will do my absolute best to get back to you in a timely manner, and you, as always, have a great day. Blessed be.